Hello.
Hi, Heather. How are you? Shalom.
Good. How are you, Father Mike?
Father Michael is doing just fine.
Michael, I'm sorry.
Yes. So let's see. Our one of our best fans, Ann Larson, is already here. Hi, Ann. May the Lord bless you and keep you.
So, Father Michael, I have something to confess. And by the way, if any of you guys who are watching have anything to confess, please put it in the chat so we could share it with Father Michael.
Absolutely. This is a good opportunity to unburden yourself of whatever guilt you are suffering from, my child. So feel free to open up.
Thank goodness. I've been holding this in all week. So one of my coworkers was cleaning the airlock, and I was having a fight with the tribble, and the tribble went over the airlock button, and I hit it, and the airlock opened, and my coworker went flying into outer space. I killed my coworker. I don't know what to do, Father Mike.
Okay, let me make sure I understand the story correctly. So for those of you who don't know, a tribble is kind of a fuzzy thing about the size of a cat, and they make really good pets, but the problem is they multiply really fast.
Yeah, don't feed the tribble.
Okay, so don't feed the tribble, I guess that. And so where was this tribble again?
In my, on the spaceship that we were in, and it was near the airlock.
Okay, and by the way, Heather, you look lovely. And may I ask, so that's an original series outfit or uniform, right?
Yep.
And so I'm sorry for my bad Star Trek knowledge, but who are you?
I'm someone who is going to die by the end of the episode.
Well, I will do my best to resurrect you if that happens.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But you know what? I deserve it, especially after, throwing my coworker out of the airlock.
Okay, so a coworker was near the airlock. You were playing with the tribble, and then what happened again?
The tribble went over the button. I smashed the button instead of the tribble, and the airlock opened, and my coworker went flying into outer space.
Okay, so you wanted to scold the tribble, but basically you missed and hit the airlock button, and your coworker went off into the vacuum of outer space.
Yeah.
Boy. Well, that is a venial sin, which means it was basically not premeditated. So it's not so bad because it was accidental in nature. So I think you're going to have to write a letter of apology to his or her family. You're going to have to do 5 Hail Marys, 3 Our Fathers, and an act of contrition.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Okay. How that goes.
So we have a question from our viewers real quick.
Okay.
Anne asked a great question. Have you visited the new Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas since the grand opening was yesterday?
I was hoping somebody would ask that. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah. So what did you think about it?
Yes, I went there last night. It was the opening day. And yeah, for downtown, it really classes up downtown. It is, I mean, of course, it's brand new. They tore down the old Vegas Club and the Glitter Gulch and Mermaids. So it's completely new. It's sparkling clean. They have all like really cutting edge slots. And the sports book is magnificent. It's 3 stories high and enormous video screens and a huge panel of all kinds of different bets. I think that in terms of seats, I'm sure it doesn't beat the Westgate, but I think in terms of just like the size of the room, it might. So yeah, the sports book is the crown jewel of that place. They have 2 stories of the casino's 2 stories with both tables and slots on both stories. So they're two good stories, unlike the D, which is kind of like one good story and one kind of mediocre story. And there is also a lower level, but I don't know what is there because they were having a invitation only party down there. And from pictures, it looks like there's a really fantastic pool area, but I didn't go there either because they were doing some nightclub thing up there. But yeah, overall, I was very impressed. You know, the gaming odds are similar to, in fact, they're probably the same as at the Golden Gate and the D. Like the craps was 3, 4, 5 times odds. The blackjack was 6 decks, dealer hits a soft 17, double after a split, but no resplitting aces and no surrender. The video poker was quite stingy. I should calculate an average, but it's probably around 97% on the main casino floor. And strangely, it's even worse in the high limit room where it's more like 96. Same thing with video keno. That was pretty stingy. In fact, let me bring up the review that am doing, that the Wizard was doing right before. So the video keno.
When can we expect the review?
Right after this show, like within an hour later. I'm just like editing the pictures right now. So yeah, the video poker on the main casino floor, it ranges from 94.18 to 97.87. The best game being 9-5 double bonus. Like I said, it's even worse in the high limit room. And in the main casino floor, the video keno ranges from 92.08% to 92.31%. So nothing special there. I would like to give them credit that in the sports book, a ticket didn't expire for 365 days, which is very nice. One thing that bothers me is short expiration dates. I think that's really unethical, and it kind of bothers me when places only have 30 to 60 days. I think the only other place that's at 365 is kind of surprisingly the Caesars properties.
So I got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of the casinos here in Las Vegas, which sports book has the least amount of days for it to expire? So are there any that have 15 days until they expire?
Jerry's Nugget was only 30, but I believe they became a William Hill. I know this is on Wizard of Vegas's information, but off the top of my head, I think that some places are at only 60, but I don't remember who. I believe the MGM Mirage casinos are 120. So
yeah, 30 is like the smallest.
But yeah, this information is maybe I should just look it up real quick because I think it's important. Okay, Wizard of Vegas surveys, sportsbook survey.
Do you want to try sharing your screen?
It's not on here.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of afraid to share it because you might see what other windows I have open.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's about the best I can do with that on short notice.
Okay. Now, one of our viewers is talking to Father Michael. He wants to know if he can be forgiven for playing a 7-2 unsuited in Hold'em more than once.
Strangely, when we play it at Father Michael's house, sometimes there's a bonus if you win a hand with a 7-2 offsuit. But that notwithstanding, no, you absolutely can be forgiven for that as long as basically you were bluffing. If you were falling in love with a 7-2 offsuit, then that would be coveting a bad hand, which would violate one of the commandments against coveting. So yes, as long as you are bluffing, I think that it is good to bluff sometimes. So you are forgiven, Ronaldo.
Good to know.
Yes. And at some point during the show, I want to talk about the election, and I do have some Bible trivia as well.
Oh, you want to do some Bible trivia? Let's do a question.
Yes, let's get the Bible trivia going. And Okay. Which two biblical characters appeared with Jesus during the Transfiguration?
Venus and Mars.
They were not biblical characters, but no, I'm afraid not. Let's give the audience a chance to percolate on that one. And why don't you give me another question? And maybe we'll talk about the election at about 3:30.
Okay, sounds good. So while we're waiting for you guys to answer that question, we have a question for if I'm getting you mixed up with Father Michael and like Wizard of Oz. I actually had to sit there and think about it for a second.
Well, we look alike, so you're forgiven for that.
Thank you. So Mr. Keno says, does the odds of blackjack lower the longer you play? Are there a number of hands where you would recommend to stop playing in order to decrease the chance of losing it all?
Okay, first of all, the odds are the same for every hand as long as we're not getting into card counting. So it's not like the cards say, oh, Mr. Keno has been playing for 2 hours. Let's make him leave by giving him some lousy cards. No, the cards don't know how long you've been playing. But one question the wizard gets asked a lot is, when should I quit playing? And the wizard to that says that it's really quite simple, that his advice is to quit playing when you're not having fun any longer. And there's various reasons why you might not be having fun. Like you might be getting bored because you're playing too long. You might be getting angry with yourself because you've lost too much. Maybe you have somewhere to go and you're anxious about getting there on time. No, gambling, like all things, should be enjoyed in moderation. So yeah, so that is the wizard's rule of thumb, which I agree with. And yeah, and there is no magical time like 2 hours or something like that.
Okay. And he said, very good advice. Thank you, Father.
You're welcome, and thank you for the question.
Now we have 2 answers to your trivia question. Is it Moses and Elijah?
It is. TK, very good. Bless you, my son. Yes, it was Moses and Elijah. And as the story goes, Jesus took some of the apostles with him, I think, to a mountaintop. And there he appeared like images of Moses and Elijah came down from heaven and were standing there with Jesus, and they said something like, this is the Son of God, or something like that. And so this is interesting in that it's the only miracle that happened to Jesus, not one that he did himself.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Okay, next question. Which country has the highest Catholic population?
Ooh, so if you guys know that, put that in the chat, and we will talk about that here in one sec. But while we are waiting, should we do another question?
Yes.
So SP asks, can Benford's law somehow be applied to gambling strategies?
Is that the one that has to do with that every digit from 0 to 9 should appear with some sort of certain probability in basically nature?
You would know better than me.
Let me look that up real quick.
Okay. And
I think so.
While you're doing that, we got an easy one here. What are your favorite bands?
Yes, what I just said. Yeah, I was right. And I will answer the question about the bands in a minute. Okay, so Benford's law. This is really interesting. And this is one way that the IRS can detect cheaters is, let's say that you are fibbing on your income tax form. And let's say you want to declare, your expenses to be higher than they were, or your income to be lower. And you basically make up a number. People are really bad at producing a random number. And so the IRS computers know how often each digit should appear on a fair income tax return. And if your numbers are not conforming to this distribution, then that will increase your chances of getting audited. In fact, the wizard recently asked a question in his forum, is that let's say you have a bank account that starts with $1 and it grows at a certain constant instant rate. Over an infinite period of time, how often will the balance of that bank account start with the digit 1? And the answer to that is log to the base 10 of 2, which is 30.1%. So yes, so yes, the balance in that bank account should begin with a 1, 30.1% of the time, and that is per Bedford's law. Now, I believe the original question was, can it be used to help you gambling? No, absolutely not. I see no way that could help. It has nothing to do with gambling.
I love it when questions are that easy to answer.
No, but I like talking about Benford's law. It's really quite interesting.
Cool.
Okay.
So should we check out the answers we have for your...
Yes, what are some answers we got?
Okay, we got several different answers to choose from. The very first one coming from Tom H. Is it Vatican City?
No. You may have misinterpreted the question. I'm not asking about the highest percentage of Catholics. I'm asking about the highest number of them. So Vatican City would actually be quite low because it is the smallest country on earth.
Okay. Would it be the Philippines?
Nope. Good guess. Probably a very high percentage and a pretty good population, but no, it is not the Philippines.
Okay. What about Brazil?
Yay! Brazil is the correct answer with about 151 million Catholics.
Wow. Congratulations, Brent.
Yes. And coming in case you're wondering, Mexico is number 2 with about 90 million, and the United States is number 3 with about 68 million.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Let's go on to question number 3.
Yes.
Okay. Which 2 people in the Bible died and had their bodies taken up to heaven? And this is not to be confused with the question I asked before on which 2 people in the Bible never died. No, these 2 people died, but like the people that never died, their bodies were taken up into heaven. So I will let the peanut gallery chew on that. And do you have another question for me, Heather?
I do. So our next question is the fun one, and that's from Jan. What are your favorite bands?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to get back to that. Well, Father Michael really likes hymns and classical music, and he likes the sound that monks chant. But the wizard, if you pin him down to a number 1, he would probably say Pink Floyd. And he would probably go way high up on his list would also be Elton John, the Rolling Stones, Emmylou Harris, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Yeah, but those are some of the wizard's favorite bands.
Sounds good.
How about you, Heather?
One favorite band that I really love a lot is the Cynic Project. They have a lot of good music with no words, which is fantastic when you're writing. So
Pink Floyd's early stuff was a lot of instrumentals, stuff like "Careful with That Axe, Eugene."
That sounds pretty menacing. Perfect.
Yeah, they have several early albums that hardly anyone ever listens to, but it's some good instrumental stuff mostly.
Have you seen any good Halloween movies lately, or any Halloween movies you recommend?
I've always really liked, I've said this before, but, well, Halloween movies, you said. I do love the original Halloween, and the second Halloween was pretty good too. And then they recently came out with, like, it's called Halloween 2020 or something like that, that brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. That was quite good. That was on par with the first two Halloweens. So yeah, the Halloween movies are good. What other Halloween movies do I like? I don't know if you call it a Halloween movie, but as Father Michael, I of course like The Exorcist.
Nice. Yeah, anything horror, anything like.
I mean, I love all the Alien movies. I've said that before, and I'm a big fan of, I would say, scary movies as opposed to horror movies.
Do you have?
And I really like, and again, this is not really a Halloween movie, but I really liked Paranormal Phenomena.
Okay.
That was another movie like the Blair Witch Project that probably had a budget of like the price of a nice car. And I thought it was surprisingly good and scary.
Nice. Have you ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil? Oh, nope. That's definitely a gotta watch right there.
Okay, it's as long as we're talking about gotta watches, this is not in the Halloween or scary category. But I have been watching The Queen's Gambit, and that is just outstanding. I love that show, and I don't praise TV shows every day, but this is fantastic. It takes place in the early '60s, and it's about it starts out a young girl and then young woman who's a chess prodigy, and yeah, she learns in an orphanage and just immediately just takes the whole chess world by storm. And meanwhile, there's another storyline that she struggles with addiction problems and has a, I don't know, strange relationship with her adoptive mother. And anyway, great show. Give it a try.
Sounds good. Definitely check that out.
Okay. I believe I asked whose two bodies went up to heaven.
So our
answers.
We do. Our first guest comes from Ron, and he says Elijah and I can't pronounce that. Ethnic?
No, that was the correct answer to what I asked in the previous show of which two people never died.
Oh, I didn't go down far enough.
I asked which two people died, and then
what about Moses and Jesus?
Maybe I should have said not counting Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have said that. So,
but we got a lot of
Moses is not correct.
We got a lot of comments on songs and movies. I'm sitting here trying to go through it, and it's like a lot of songs and movies, which is fantastic. Which, by the way, have you seen The Cube?
Yes,
that
was good. Yeah. I wouldn't put it at the top of my list, but The Cube is good, and that's a movie where it starts with some people are in like a 10 by 10 by 10 room, and they have to escape it, and there's like clues, and if you go the wrong way, like I believe there's a door to all 6 sides, and if you go through the wrong way, basically whoever is first will get killed, and yeah, there's clues, but when you get out of the first room, you're just in a second room that looks just the same, but the clues are different. Oh. And but they have to like figure out basically that, like, is there any way to escape this? Because to them, it just seems like an endless number of one room leading to another. And I think eventually they get to a point where they think they've figured out like the pattern of which door to go through, but then it becomes a matter of how do I escape this whole thing, and is there even an escape at all? And that's about as far as I should take it, but it's a really intriguing movie.
Sounds good. So definitely another one to check out.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the sequel to that.
Yeah. By the way, Jan says you have some awesome music choices.
Thank you.
So what was the answer to that trivia question? Because I don't think we got the answer from any viewers.
Yeah, that was a tough one. The answers are, and this is from the Catholic perspective. Protestants, I don't think would agree. I'm not sure exactly what they think, but according to us Catholics, we would say Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I said something wrong. Jesus was one of them. So whoever Jesus and Moses gets half credit.
Okay.
I apologize to that individual. The other person is the Virgin Mary.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't think Protestants subscribe to the Virgin Mary, but us Catholics do. Okay. Next Bible question.
Yes.
Who was the mother of John the Baptist?
Mother of John the Baptist. So if you guys know, put it in the chat, and we will go through those answers here in a sec. Mm-hmm. But until then, we have another question for you, and this is from Darnell. I noticed playing craps when shooters will throw the dice and it goes off the table, and then they ask for the same dice. Just curious, why don't they ask for new dice?
Heather, is it the player or the dealers that say same dice?
Player usually says same dice. They have to request it, otherwise they automatically get new dice.
Well, I guess you would have to ask the player that who said same dice.
It's usually superstitious.
Yeah, I guess you know how superstitious players are, that, you know, once they start rolling, that they think that any little change in anything will be bad luck. So of course it's just a superstition. Yeah, so that's why I think that they do that.
Okay. Should we do another question and give them some more time, or should we see if anyone answered that trivia?
Does anyone know who the mother is of John the Baptist?
Okay. So is Elizabeth the mother of John the Baptist? Very
good. Mr. Ken, no. Very good. And by the way, there is a rule against searching. There is no searching allowed. Very good. That is a tough one.
Mr. Ken did not get it. So TK was first. Lizzie's the mother. TK got it before Mr. Ken got it.
I prefer Elizabeth, but I'll give you credit for Lizzie. Yes, that was a tough one. And yes, and there is a story that, so the Virgin Mary and Elizabeth were both pregnant at the same time. And the Virgin Mary went to visit Elizabeth, who I think was a distant cousin or something like that. And when Elizabeth opened the door, she sensed that the baby the Virgin Mary was carrying was something special. And if I remember the story correctly, Elizabeth said something like, "You're carrying the Son of God," or something like that. And to that, Jesus inside of the Virgin Mary's womb, like, kicked for the first time or something like that. And then somebody said magnificent. That's about as good as the story. Okay. All right. I apologize for my bad rendition of that. Okay. Question number 5. Who told Mary to name her baby Jesus?
Okay. So if you guys know the answer, put it in the chat. I'm guessing it's the cat. It's always the cat.
It's always the cat's fault?
Always the cat's fault.
No, it was not the cat. Interesting guess, though.
While we're waiting for people to answer, I do have a question from Rap Brown. Rap Brown says, I very much want to hear him talk about the election. The odds have moved quite a bit, and like any proposition, that's interesting.
Yes, I see it's almost 3:30. So, yes, why don't we talk about the election? So you are absolutely right, Rap Brown. The odds of this election have swung all over the place. When Biden won the Democratic nomination, Trump was a pretty big favorite, getting up to minus 200, meaning you had to lay $2 to win $1. But then I guess it's because of the coronavirus that kept getting bad, and the odds on Trump just kept getting worse and worse, and on Biden they got better and better. And when I say the odds, I mean like in terms of like his probability of winning. And Trump's odds fell even more after the first debate. And yeah, for whatever reason, he went from being a 2-to-1 favorite to basically a 2-to-1 underdog right now. And it was yeah, and this happened gradually, I would say, ever since the Democratic nomination. So let me pull up another document here. So I write all about this in my newsletter, and you can find that in the footer over at Wizard of Odds. And so yes, so let me start with the odds. Right now, if you want to bet on Biden, you have to lay about 2-to-1. And if you want Trump, you're going to get anywhere from about plus 165 to plus 198, depending upon the sports book. So if you take the juice out of that, it implies that Biden has about a 65% chance of winning. However, I did some math on this, and I looked at all 50 states, including the independent districts in Maine and Nebraska that vote for their own, and the District of Columbia, and I gave every state a probability of winning, of Trump winning. And in most cases, I just gave it either 0% or 100% where it's not competitive. And taking the dot product of this, I show that Trump can, and where did I get these probabilities of winning, you know, especially in the battleground states? I got these from Pinnacle, which is kind of the gold standard in terms of the betting market. For example, Arizona shows that Trump has a 43.6% chance of winning Arizona. Did I just say Trump? Yeah, 43.6. Florida, he has 55.8. Georgia, 60.2. Iowa, 61. Michigan, 28.1. Minnesota, 27.2. So anyway, when you add up the probability of Trump winning by the number of electoral votes, I show that Trump should get, my estimate is 227 electoral votes. And as I'm sure you know, it takes 270 to win. So, so he is a bit short of that by 43 votes. And I also looked at the standard deviation of this, and I show that the standard deviation of electoral votes is 30. So Trump is 1.43 standard deviations away from winning. Now, assuming that every state was independent, that would give Trump a 7.7% chance of winning. Now, however, the vote is not independent. People tend to think kind of in the same way from state to state. Yeah, but to look at it another way, there are 125 safe Trump votes and 216 safe Biden votes. And so, and there's 197 battleground votes. Trump needs 145 out of 197 of these battleground votes. And so he needs, you know, about 75% of them. And so let's talk about the, let's do a comparison to 2016. So at this time, okay, well, let me remind you that in 2016, Trump got 304 electoral votes, Clinton got 227, and there were 7 faithless electors. So 5 of those faithless electors were from Washington, 2 from Texas. So if they voted away the way they were supposed to go, then it would have been Trump 308 and Clinton 232. So where was I going with that? And at this point in 2016, with a week to go, actually only 5 days at this point, Hillary Clinton was only up by 4 points. Why did she lose if she was ahead by 4 points? Well, the polls were off by about 2 points. her popular vote win was only by 2 points, not 4 points. And the rest of it is because the Electoral College simply favors Republicans, that with every state basically getting 2 free votes and then the rest are proportional to population. Most of the states with small populations lean Republican. So yeah, that's basically why he won. But Biden is not leading by 4 points. He's leading by 9 to 10 points. So if we say that Biden is going to do 5% better in all 50 states, that would swing a bunch of the states. So states that Trump won by 4% or less were Michigan by 0.4%, Pennsylvania by 0.7%, Wisconsin by 0.8%, Florida by 1.2%, Nebraska's second district by 2.2%, Arizona by 3.6%, and North Carolina by 3.7%. So if we give Biden an extra 5% in all those states, that would swing all of those over to Biden. And if that happened, then Trump would have 202 votes and Biden would have 334 for a pretty comfortable Biden win. Now, a couple wild cards in all this are the mail-in ballots. People have been voting in an unconventional way this year. I think the mail-in ballots are going to favor Biden even more. But another wild card is that if this gets fought through the courts and it bubbles up to the Supreme Court, that will probably go Trump's way with a 6-3 conservative advantage there. But at the end of the day, I think that if we're looking at 202 Trump votes and 334 Biden, it's looking really good for Biden. And the wizard told me to say that he thinks that laying 2-1 on Biden is a good value. And he knows that he has been saying to bet on Trump earlier in the process, and it may be proven that he was wrong on that. So basically that is the bottom line, that at this late point, the wizard says that that if you're going to bet, go with Biden, laying 2-1. And, he's not like strongly recommending it, but that is his bottom line of his analysis. And he said that he had a lot of money bet on Trump before, and now he's betting on Biden to basically mitigate his losses. And the way it stands now, the wizard will probably lose $2,000 to $3,000 either way, because he has to lay so much to get action on Biden at this point. So any questions on that? That is my commentary on betting the 2020 election.
Okay. Should we go to answers to the trivia question you asked?
Yes.
Okay. And just to remind people, what was that trivia question again?
What was it? So I asked about, I don't think that we left off on one. The last one I asked was, No, I think I am waiting on this. Who told Mary to name her child Jesus?
Okay, so we have a couple answers to that. Derek was the very first, and he said it was an angel of the Lord.
Okay, correct. I'm looking for the angel's name, though.
Okay, Timothy says, is it Gabriel?
It is Gabriel. Very good job, Timothy N.
Woo. Very nice
stuff. You know your Bible. Good job, my son. Okay, let's ask another question.
Yes.
I think I'll skip number 6. Number 7 is, which 3 sacraments should be administered to somebody who is dying?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that question, put it in the chat and we will get to it.
Right, and I'm not looking to hear the last rites. I want to hear the 3 specific sacraments.
SOL? You're shit out of luck?
A humorous guess, but no.
So I have a question while we're waiting.
Okay.
And this question is from Julius. And Julius says, is there any way I could deposit on a gambling site with my PayPal account?
No.
No.
Certainly not from the United States. I don't want to speak to any other place in the world, but it is not easy to bet on sports on the internet here in the US. And what few places take US players like Bovada, I think the most convenient way to make a deposit is with Bitcoin. So
you have to get into Bitcoin. You have to like open up your wallet and, actually get into that to gamble online.
I won't say it's the only way, but in my opinion, it's the easiest way. And I think if you called their customer support and asked them, where do I get Bitcoin? They would probably give you some good advice. Yeah. So yeah, it's not easy betting that from here in the US.
Okay.
But Bitcoin really is quite convenient.
I had a hard time with it.
Involved like opening a wallet and getting started with that. But once you understand it, it's as simple as just passing a code back and forth.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just never got past that level.
Yeah, it's kind of like the code is like an address. Like if I want to send somebody Bitcoin, I go to my wallet and I just put in basically this address, this code, and how much I'm sending, and they will get it.
How long does it take you to convert your Bitcoin to cash?
You basically have to find someone at the other end of a transaction who wants to buy it. And there are places that you can sell it to anonymously, like I think it's called Coinbase. But I have never had trouble selling Bitcoin. There's always people hungry to buy it. Okay. So that's how I do it.
Now, we only have one answer to your trivia question, so you may need to give the answer to this. And the answer was it Larry, Moe, and Curly?
Yep. No, it was not Larry, Moe, and Curly. But a good trivia question is, can you name the other three Stooges? And speaking of Moe, I recently paid a visit to Century City in the LA area, and I visited the grave of Moe Howard, or should I say the crypt.
That's cool. Did you get a picture?
I did. Yes, maybe I will post that on Facebook.
That would be cool. I would like to see that post.
Okay.
That's cool.
Is there any easy way I can show it here?
No, because then you would have to share your screen.
Can I? Oh. I don't see anything embarrassing on my screen at the moment. Yeah, how do I share my screen? Well, I don't even want to go look for it right now.
Okay. So what was the answer to the trivia question?
Okay, I guess I have to tell you guys. The three sacraments are confession, communion, and anointing of the sick.
Good to know.
Yep, and I think when you do the communion, you don't use the same wording. It's a little bit different if it's the last communion. So you basically prepare, it's basically like a prayer that somebody have a pleasant journey to wherever we go next. Okay, let's go on to another one.
Sounds good.
Okay. What is the term for where saintly people went after dying in the Old Testament?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that question, put it in the chat.
Yes, and again, all of this is according to the Catholic point of view.
Yeah. And while we wait, should we go to another question?
Yes.
Okay. So our next question is from Paul.
Do you like my rosary, by the way?
I do.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's made out of parachute cord.
Oh, wow.
Which is supposed to be very strong because you don't want your parachute breaking.
That would not be good.
Okay, next question.
Our next question is from Paul, and he says, do you think handicappers generally give more points than deserved for home team advantage? Also, is there value to home team win trends?
I generally think that the betting that you get more points than you should on underdogs. That's why, as a basic strategy, I recommend betting underdogs and betting unders. And between the two, betting underdogs is better. And it's because the betting market tends to like betting favorites, and that depresses the odds on those favorites and makes them better on the underdogs. So when in doubt, bet the underdog. And what was the second part? Is there any value to home team win trends? No. I definitely am a long-term thinker when it comes to handicapping. I think the market tends to put too much emphasis on the short term. So if you showed me a team that won the last 3 games, I would be inclined to bet against them in their next game. And it's not like this is a guaranteed thing. I don't even say it's going to beat the house advantage, but I think that, but I think you would do better than if you bet on a team than betting on teams that won their last 3 games. So think long term. That's the bottom line.
Very cool. Okay, so we got a couple answers to the trivia question.
Okay.
First answer was it purgatory?
No, that is a modern thing. That's where people go after they die since the time of Jesus. But where did they go before Jesus?
Was it heaven?
Heaven is kind of a vague term. But no, it was not heaven. The way heaven is generally used is that for people who died after Jesus's time, first, if you had any sin, which we all do, you go to purgatory, and that is a place for you to, shall we say, get ready for heaven. And some people might say that that's where you have to serve time for your sins, but I view it more as a place, kind of like a finishing school, where you learn things that you didn't learn here on Earth. And how that goes down specifically, I don't really know. But yeah, and then after you've done your time in purgatory, then you go to heaven.
Okay. I thought the point of purgatory was to bore you to death.
Well, that's the way some old-fashioned priests might put it, that it's kind of a bad place, like serving time, like if you steal money from your mother, you would have to do 500 years in purgatory. But these things are not known for certain. So I'm only going, shall we say, generalities that us Catholics believe. Okay.
And then our last answer to the question was Garden of Eden.
No, that is where that was a place on Earth where Adam and Eve lived, and it's theorized that was probably in around modern day Iraq, but no. I guess I'm going to have to just tell you guys. The answer is there's 2 terms for it. Some people call it limbo of the fathers, and other people call it the bosom of Abraham.
I'd rather have a bosom of a woman.
If you must have one, that's the way to go. Okay. But limbo of the fathers, I think, sounds kind of cool. Limbo. That's a nice word. I'm in limbo. Okay. Next question.
Next question comes from Timothy, and he says, would you rather play a coin flip game where you win $10 for head and lose $10 for tails, or pick from a standard deck of cards, win $10 for red and lose $10 for black?
Well, statistically speaking, of course, they're the same. I actually think that with the coin flipping, the chances are slightly more than 50% of the coin landing on the same side as it started. Like if you flip it starting with tails up, it's more likely to land tails up, but it's like a 50.1% thing. Okay.
So if I want to rig a coin flip game with my friend, then whatever I pick, I need to make sure that's on top.
Yep.
Got it.
And it's not going to guarantee you a win. It's just going to give you a thin advantage.
Works for me.
But a good way to cheat in that is you flip you ask your friend to call it, you flip it, and let's say he calls tails. You catch it. If it lands heads in your palm, then you go, look, you lost, it's heads. But if it is tails, then you flip it over like to your wrist. And then it goes from tails to heads, and then say, sorry, brother, you lost.
That is so cheating.
But if you do that, you are going to do time in purgatory. Just to
Ooh, how much time? How many years for that?
It kind of depends on the reason you're doing it. So, yes, it will be up to, that'll be up to God, basically, how much time you have to serve for that. So I am not, shall we say, recommending you do that. Okay, but where was I going? Oh yeah, I would prefer the predicting the color of a card. When I read, because I think that coin flipping is subject to cheating, and so if I want to randomize something and there's cards available, I will usually like fan out the cards, and I will say pick one, and then I will say to the person, is that card red or black? So I think it's a little more fun and dramatic that way, and less vulnerable to cheating.
Okay, sounds good. We don't have any answers to the trivia question. Do you want to wait, or do you want to tell people what the answer was?
I think I'm just going to have to wait. Well, I did the Limbo of the Fathers. Did I ask a new one yet?
Yeah, I think you asked a new one.
I don't think that I did.
You didn't? Okay.
Next one, I'm not sure I didn't ask yet.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm just going to ask something here. Okay, besides the cross, what is another term for, or shall we say symbol for Christianity that, shall we say, was an early symbol of Christianity before the cross became, shall we say, more popular?
It was wine. Turning blood into wine, or water into wine, or whatever.
That was water into wine, and no.
Ah, damn.
Forget so.
So if you guys know the answer to that question, put it in the chat, and we will go over it here in a second. But until then, should we do another question?
Yes.
Okay, so this is from Trevor. In Texas Hold'em, if you can see the other people's cards, does that change your initial raise?
Yeah, certainly it would. Well, as Father Michael, I definitely do not, I definitely would have to give the finger wagging of shame if you are looking at your opponent's cards. And I think that you should warn them if they are flashing their cards. However, if you do see their cards for whatever reason and you're not telling them as you should, yeah, that should definitely play into your strategy. You know, I'll just leave it up to you how to do that.
Okay.
That's about as far as I can take that one. And I see a correct answer here. Well, I see a bunch of answers.
Yep. Was it fish?
Yes, Ronaldo W. You are correct. It was the fish.
Woo!
Yes, and that's because many of the apostles were fishermen, and Jesus himself was fond of making analogies when it came to fishing, like go forth and be fishers of men, things like that.
Nice.
Yes, the fish. Correct answer. And I see that Jim also said fish. So good job to both of you. You both get a point.
Very, very nice.
Okay, next question. Okay, number 11. According to the Second Vatican Council, what musical instrument should be held in high esteem at Mass?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer, put it in the chat and we'll do it. We'll check out your answers here in 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
And until then, our next question comes from Paul. While I felt your analysis, oh, we already did that one.
I don't recall seeing that.
We were talking about Trump and everything, and your analysis of Trump and the election.
Oh, that's where he asked to hear about it?
No, it's an additional question, but it was asking the same thing.
Okay.
So our next question comes from David. Are you going to go door to door on Halloween trick-or-treating with that outfit on?
No. I will probably pass out candy with this outfit on, which I did last year, and it got some good responses. Like I remember one girl said, "Are you God?" But yeah, it just goes to show you don't need a really fancy outfit to impress people.
I want to see you wearing that outfit with a candy shotgun and shooting candy out to the trick-or-treaters. Yeah. Christianity.
The next day. But yeah, I haven't actually committed to passing out candy. I probably will, but this is the first year that all 3 of my kids will have outgrown trick-or-treating. So prior to that, I always felt it was my moral obligation to pass out candy because my kids were asking for it from other people. So I felt it was only fair and part of the social contract of Halloween. But I'm so used to doing that, I probably will. But where I live, it's definitely going to be a subdued Halloween. People, they're like giving out signs that say, "Come back next year," and stuff like that. And you don't see nearly as many Halloween decorations out.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Halloween, that is going to be the date of the UNLV-UNR football game.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I believe it starts at 7 o'clock. So root for UNLV.
Fingers crossed. Okay, so we have a couple answers to your trivia question. Mm-hmm. And I like TK's answer. Was it an electric bass?
Nope. Good answer, though.
How about an organ?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes. I was specifically looking for a pipe organ, but I will accept just an organ. Very good. Again, Ronaldo W., you know your Catholicism.
Ron's doing pretty good. I'm impressed.
Indeed. Okay. Yeah, and good try on the harp and the lyre, but I'm afraid not. Okay.
So what's our next trivia question?
Okay, this is a good one. What is believed to be Jesus's blood type?
Wine. I know that one. It's wine. Totally wine.
It's not a blood type, even though some people have a lot of wine in their blood. It is not a blood type.
It's Jesus's blood type. Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that question, put it in the chat and we will check it out here in 1 sec. Until then, our next question comes from Crap Strategies. And his question is, in Blackjack basic strategy, if a player has already hit twice, reaching 15 or 16 with the dealer showing a 10, should they still hit again?
That's a really good question. Now, according to basic strategy, which is what I push the most, that doesn't take into consideration the number of cards. So if you must always play 16 against a 10 or 15 against a 10 the same way, the right way is to hit. But the 16 against a 10 is really borderline. So if with 15 against a 10, you should just always hit that, unless you really want to get into obscure composition dependent exceptions. But with 16 against a 10, again, that's very borderline. And as a rule of thumb, if you have 3 or more cards in that 16, then you should stand, because the average card would be 16 divided by 3 is 5 1/3. Yeah, you've got 3 cards with an average value of 5 1/3. That's basically 3 small cards. It means that there's more big cards left in the shoe, which you might get if you hit. However, a more effective way to play that is that if you have a 4 or a 5 in your hand, then just stand. That is going to be a little bit more powerful than the 3-card rule. But yeah, really good question, Craps Strategies Live.
Definitely.
Okay.
I know.
Well, I see we're running out of time here, but let's finish off this Bible trivia.
Okay.
Ronaldo W said O positive. That is not right.
How about O negative?
Nope. And A minus is not a blood type, but it might, no, that's more like a grade you might get on a trivia test.
What about AB?
AB positive. Yes, it is AB.
Woo.
The follow-up question is, how do we know that? And since we're running out of time, well, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to tell me why we know it's AB. And there's another question. I'll ask 2 more questions right now, and we'll let the answers trickle in. So you guys will have 3 questions to work on simultaneously because we're out of time. Okay. Question number 13 is, why are shamrocks associated with St. Patrick's Day? And question 14 is, what 3 vows must a friar take?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, I shall look. Okay, well, I see, Jen, you said AB positive because it's so rare. It's not because it's so rare. Brent B, you got it. Brent
B got it?
Yes, Brent B said the Shroud of Turin. So this, if you're not familiar with what that is believed to be the cloth that they wrapped up Jesus's body with. And they took a sample of it and analyzed it for what kind, because there were blood stains on it. And they analyzed these blood stains and they came up AB.
Wow.
There you go.
Cool.
And, okay, so again, very good job, Brent B. You get a point for that. Ann Larson just saying Ireland is not a sufficient answer.
And it looks like that's all the answers we have at the moment. If you guys know this, put it in the chat. Tell us.
So Heather, I think you predicted you were going to die at the end of the show. Are you ready?
I'm totally going to die. Redshirt. You're going to kill me? Wait a minute.
I'm going to try to resurrect you. Oh,
you're going to resurrect me. I thought that was a plot twist. I thought Father Michael was going to kill me.
Oh, no. That would, no. Father Michael is a gentle person who would not hurt a fly, except in self-defense.
So if I start whacking you and everything, then Father Michael would kill me?
He would only start slapping you around back. An eye for an eye, a slap for a slap.
I want to see Father Michael slapping people around.
Okay. Somebody asked me if I'm making the sign of the cross right. Well, I go head to heart, right to left. And am I not doing it right? Boy, that would be embarrassing.
John, is he doing it right?
Is there a real Catholic out there who can tell me? Right to left or left to right? Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to just tell you guys. The shamrock is associated with St. Patrick's Day because it is often used as an analogy to the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And finally, what are the 3 vows a friar must take? Do I have any? The Catholic way is left to right. Oh boy, I have been doing it wrong the whole show. I am so embarrassed. Thank you, John Herman, for the correction.
There you go. That looks good.
You know, when I was climbing Mount Sherman in Colorado this summer, which was really cold and windy, and most people have all this, you know, mountaineering gear. I saw a group of nuns doing it in their nun outfits. And of course they had like heavy coats over them, but you could tell that underneath them, it was just like the habit that nuns really wore. And I made the sign of the cross to one of them, and she just said, thank you. But now I'm surprised she didn't chastise me for doing it wrong.
She was probably so cold. She's like, I'm not wasting the.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's embarrassing. Okay. The last question was about the vows. The vows are poverty, celibacy, and obedience. Now, what is a friar, you might ask? A friar is like a priest, but he belongs to a specific religious order. And a priest that is not a member of a religious order does not need to take the vow of poverty. Now, they are expected to live humble, simple lives, but they don't specifically have to take that vow of poverty.
So Jim says that a friar must not burn the food. So
I did not know that.
I could not be the friar because I burn everything I touch in the kitchen. In fact, I even burn the kitchen. There's been plenty of kitchen fires.
Okay. Well, Heather, I'm ready.
You're ready to kill me? Don't kill me.
Kill you. You said you were going to die, but I never said I was going to kill you. Is your snake going to strangle you?
I'm going to kill myself.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't think you're going to die by stabbing yourself in the armpit.
Especially not with this.
Yes, a good old Swiss Army knife.
Well, now, did you resurrect me? I mean, what's up?
I don't believe you really died, so I don't need to resurrect you.
I see the light. I'm moving towards the light. Look out.
No, Heather, don't stay away from the light. Go back. Go back. Go back. You're not ready yet. You're too young to die.
So much conviction.
No, we need good people like you here on Earth. Okay, well, shall we say our goodbyes?
Yeah.
Heather, thank you so much for joining me on the show and being my producer. Thank you so much, audience, for coming and participating, for your questions and answers. And it's been a lot of fun. Have a fun and safe Halloween. Don't forget to vote. And stay out of trouble. Be good.
See you guys next time.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.